Welcome back. All right, so 8 games to talk about now. If you're looking for the review of the Wild Jets game, already on the channel, already way ahead on that one. So we're going to start things off talking about the second game of the day, and I'd considered having a board with this one separate from everything else, and I thought, wait, it's Columbus, it's Buffalo. It's not necessarily going to be noteworthy for an entire video, and I was kind of right. So it's Tarasov versus Luukkonen. The Sabres press at 2 minutes. Chinakov's denied on a turnover. Skinner has a wraparound chance that save. The shots are 3-1 Sabres at 6.5 minutes. Columbus presses 7 minutes in. Both goalies looked good through the first half, and honestly, they both had pretty good games in this one. Shots are 4 apiece with 8.5 minutes left. Mittelstad's denied as the Sabres press. There's a post for Tuck from the slot. Sabres had momentum, couldn't get a goal. And then with 13 seconds left at 19:47, Severson buries a rebound in close. Voronkov and Chinakov with the assists. It's 1-0 Columbus after 1. Second period, early jump for Buffalo, and they would score with that. 40 seconds in, Quinn scores on a rebound. Cousins and Power with the assists. So that ties the game at 1. The Jackets press at 2 minutes. Benson can't bury a rebound. There's a kick save on Roslovic. Some good end-to-end action at this point in the game. Peterka has a 2-on-1 chance that's held. Shots are 6-2 Sabres at 5.5 minutes. We get a power play for Buffalo. There's a shorthanded rush by Danforth. Fantilli would score on a 2-on-1 rush after the power play was done. Danforth and Sillinger with the assists at 13:45. Columbus with the lead in a game that I really felt like they've been outplayed to that point. We get a power play for Columbus. That's killed off. Dahlin has a screenshot. That's held. The Sabres press in the final minute, but it's 2-1 Columbus after 2 periods. Third period. Jackets press at 3 minutes. Voronkov has a tip shot. That's saved. Dahlin has a shot that's held as the Sabres press. Things get pushed on a hold by Tarasov. Jackets press 7 minutes into the period. Skinner's denied on a turnover. Thompson's then denied the next shift. Tarasov holds there. Shots are 7-6 Buffalo at 9.5 minutes. The Sabres press with 9.5 minutes left. At 11:52, Mittelstadt wires one. It was a nice pass to set it up. Benson and Samuelson with the assists. It is suddenly a 2-2 tie. Sabres press for the lead. There's a net feed to Chinakov. That gets blocked. We go to the overtime. The overtime the Sabres control, but they go offside initially. Well, they control again, and Skinner would bury one from the slot. Power and Thompson with the assists at 1 minute and 20 seconds. Buffalo wins in overtime 3-2. They go to 15-18-4 with the win. With the overtime loss, Columbus 12-18-8. So there's not enough here for me to say, oh, I wish I'd done an entire video around this game. Only 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And yeah, there's not a whole lot else here. Shots on net, 13-7 Buffalo in the first, 15-6 Buffalo in the second, 12-7 Buffalo in the third. They had both shots in the overtime. Final shots, 42-20 for Buffalo. Both teams go 0-for-1 on the power play. Hits, 14-11 Columbus. Tarasov, 39 saves on 42 shots. And Luukkonen, 18 saves on 20 shots. So for Buffalo, they do win the game. That's important. They avoid a trap of sorts, although when you're below 500, is there a trap game? I don't think there is. All right, New Jersey and Boston. So, New Jersey and Boston. So, no idea why I said it like that. I swear I'm not from Massachusetts. But this was a game that looked like New Jersey was going to steal one on the road, and then just Boston took over. So it's Vanacek versus Ullmark. Good early back and forth. The shots are 4-2 Boston, 4 minutes in. We get a power play, though, for the Devils, and they score on it. It is Hischier from Toffoli and Jack Hughes at 6:03, and that was very early in the power play. Basically, they win that faceoff, and they score. Bruins press at the half. Bratt fires one wide on a rush with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. The Devils have a power play. So they're up 1-0 after 1, and they have the man advantage going into the second. So the Bruins finish the kill. Pasternak to Zacha. There's a near miss there. And then Luke Hughes wires one top corner. He does that from Toffoli and Bratt at 1 minute and 10 seconds. So Luke Hughes, the number 1 points producer amongst defensemen in this year's rookie class, and it's 2-0 New Jersey. And it looks like, hey, this is a great road game being played by the Devils. We get a post for Coyle as the Bruins press. The fans call one. The referee does not. And then DeBrusk, it's a turnover and it's buried. Marchand with the assist at 5:35. I had to look down. There's a rabbit down there, and I felt her against my leg, so I wasn't sure where she was. But anyways, DeBrusk gets that one, makes it 2-1 for New Jersey. The shots are 4-3 for Boston at 7.5 minutes. We went a nice long stretch without a whistle, and then as Boston presses, they tie it. Pasternak from Carlo and Geeky at 12:51. Oddly enough, they made this an unassisted goal for a while. Thought that was so strange. But anyways, I guess they were just deciding who was the last two to touch it before Pasternak. We then get a power play for Boston, and they score on this at 15:39. It's Pastrnak from DeBrusk and McAvoy, and he deked around Vanacek on zone entry. And then at 17:14, Shattenkirk adds one. He scores from Grzelcyk and Coyle. It is suddenly 4-2 for Boston after 2, and this one's in Boston. So third period. Jack Hughes has an end-to-end rush that saved. Bratt had a shot that was held as the Devils press. Shots are 5-1 New Jersey at 3.5 minutes. Howell has a net feed that's picked off. The Devils with momentum. Lots of zone time in the Bruins zone there as well. Geekie has a chance that's saved and held. Pastrnak had a slot shot that was blocked. Mercer's denied as the Devils press. DeBrusk misses high on a turnover with 4:11 left. Boston gets a power play. Now, McAvoy gets hurt defending on a shorthanded rush, and he ends up exiting the game. I hope it's not too bad for McAvoy. Boston then does score during that power play. It's Shattenkirk with a second of the game. Marchand and Pastrnak with the assists at 16:49, and it makes the score 5-2. So Boston wins this one 5-2. They go to 21-7-6. New Jersey 19-14-2, and Boston looking a lot better than they did going into the Christmas break. Shots on net, 13-9 Boston in the first, 11-6 Boston in the second, 18-7 New Jersey in the third. Final shots 33-31 for the Devils. Power plays, New Jersey 1 for 2. Boston scored on both of theirs. Hits, 36-27 Boston. Very physical game. Vanacek saved 26 out of 31. Ullmark saved 31 out of 33 at the other end. So again, entertaining game. As a Bruins fan, absolutely. All right, next up, Montreal and Florida. This one stayed close for a while. So it's Allen versus Stolarz. There were no shots on the net 3 minutes in, and that was kind of the theme of the first period. There wasn't really a lot going on. Cousins has a rush chance to deflect out. We get a power play for the Habs. That was killed off. The shots are 4-1 for Montreal with 9.5 minutes left. Kulikov is a net drive that's blocked. Things get kind of scrummy with 3:28 left. Not much to report other than that, except it was a fast period, very few whistles, and done. In fact, this period ended, and the Toronto-Carolina game, there was still like about 3.5 minutes left in the first period. So showing you how much faster this game went than the other one. But it is scoreless after one. Second period, Caulfield has a rush that's blocked. Barkov's denied in close. We get a power play for Florida. Montour fires one high. It's cleared out. And then Luostarinen scores on the power play from Rodriguez and Bennett at 4:05. Pass from Struble to Slavkovsky gets picked off. We get a power play for the Habs. Suzuki would hit a crossbar, but they do score during that power play. Caulfield from Suzuki and Matheson at 7:01. But then there's too many Habs on the ice, so the Panthers with a power play. That leads to a shorthanded chance for Savard, who fires high. They do kill that off. Panthers score, but there's an offside challenge, so yeah, that's coming off the board. And it was Luostarinen on that one as well. So pressed by the Panthers, 4 minutes left when they do that. The Habs then press. Matheson has a shot that's held, but it's 1-1 after 2. Third period. Kulikov has a net drive that's blocked. The shots are 1 apiece, 3.5 minutes in. So Montreal continuing to play the really smart road game. Cousins has a turnover chance that's held, but then we get a power play for Florida, and they score on it. It's Luostarinen from Ekblad and Ekman-Larsson at 7:34. So Luostarinen, who didn't have a power play goal coming into today, gets 2 tonight. Habs press with 8.5 minutes left. Savard has a blast that's saved. The Panthers clear. Matheson fires one wide as the Habs press, and then Bennett deflects one in. He scores that one from Ekman-Larsson at 15:25. Montreal would pull the goalie. Now they're down by 2, and that means the empty netter. Verhaeghe gets that from Tkachuk and Ekblad at 17:13. Your final score is 4-1 for Florida. They go to 22-12-2 with the win. Montreal 15-15-5 with the loss. Shots on net 5-4 Montreal in the first, 11-3 Florida in the second. Both teams had 11 shots in the third. Final shots 26-19 for Florida. Power plays, Montreal 1 for 2, Florida 2 for 3. The hits 15-13 for the Panthers. Allen saved 22 out of 25, and Stolarz saved 18 out of 19 at the other end. So, fun game if you're a Florida fan. Probably a little more frustrating if you're a Montreal fan, although, as I've been saying, you don't really expect them to make the playoffs. Just stay in the hunt. All right, and the last one on this board, St. Louis and the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, it's Hofer versus Jarry, and I think Hofer again shows he's a pretty good young goaltender for St. Louis. Early jump for the Pens. Sod's denied on a rush. Ruhwedel has a rush chance. That's tipped wide. Pressed by the Penguins at 3 minutes. There's one that's fired wide by Thomas. The Penguins end up clearing it out. Power play for the Blues. That's killed off. There's a near miss for Zahorna on a turnover. And then it's a one-timer by O'Connor into the net. Malkin with the assist at 15:32. Pittsburgh with the lead. Buchnevich is denied. Jari holds. The Blues press with a minute and a half left. They end up drawing a power play with 29.7 seconds left. So that rolls over into the second period with the Penguins up 1-0. But the Blues would tie. It is a power play goal with that power play that straddled the periods. At 1:06, Thomas gets that from Kyrou and Krug. His first power play goal of the season. Surprises me. But it was a tic-tac-toe play and a nice one-timer for Thomas. Penguins look to answer. The Blues press. The Penguins steal and they rush. There's a kick save on Pettersson. We then get a power play for the Penguins and they score on it. This power play is getting better. Malkin tips one in. Gensel and Raquel with the assists at 6:50. Carter to Chari gets blocked at the net. Gensel's denied on a fast break. We get a power play for the Penguins. That's killed off. With 2:59 left, the Penguins go back to the power play. There's a shorthanded 2-on-1 for the Blues. Krug's denied. That power play is killed off. It's 2-1 for Pittsburgh after 2. Third period. Early jump for the Blues. Krug gets a shot that's held. Zahorna misses one wide and close. The shots are 3-1 for the Blues at 3.5 minutes. And at 4:48, Carter tips one into the net. Harkins with the assist. So Carter started putting up some goals. There you go. Makes it 3-1. We get a power play for the Blues. It's technically killed, but 3 seconds after it's done, St. Louis does score. It is Kapanen from Perunovic at 10 minutes and 30 seconds. So Perunovic has started putting up helpers as well. Penguins press with 5.5 minutes left. Eventually, St. Louis pulls the goalie, which leads to Crosby hitting the empty net at 18:29. That is the 16th season Sidney Crosby has hit 20 goals. So pretty strong night for him altogether. And that's a pretty big accomplishment. So with the 4-2 win, Pittsburgh goes to 17-13-4. Also, I wore a Pittsburgh jersey for the preview, so that breaks a losing streak I've been on. And then for St. Louis, they're 18-17-1 with the loss. Shots on net, 8 apiece in the first, 16-9 Pittsburgh in the second, 10-6 St. Louis in the third. Final shots, 30-27 for Pittsburgh. Both teams go 1 for 3 on the power play. Hits, 16-13 for Pittsburgh. Hofer saved 26 out of 29, and Jari, 25 saves on 27 shots. So, I need to change boards. All right, so the New York Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yes, I am recording this in between the second and third period. The first board was between the first and second period of this game because there's only one late game. So, Rangers and Tampa Bay. Shesterkin versus Vasilevsky. A+ matchup in net, right? Well, Wheeler has a shot that's saved at 1:51 on a 2-on-1 rush. Panarin scores. That's from Trocheck and Lafreniere. It stays 1-0 until 7:36 when the Rangers score again. It's Trocheck from Trouba and Lafreniere, as Trocheck had himself a game tonight. Shots are 7-6 for the Rangers at 9.5 minutes. Hagel has a near miss on a fast break. Rangers press with 9 minutes left. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Teams exchange turnovers. The Bolts press with 5.5 minutes left. Tampa Bay scores. There's goalie interference challenge, and yep, no goal on that one. Tampa Bay does go to the power play, though, because that goal was during a delayed call. That power play ends up being killed off. The Rangers would press with a minute and a half left. They come out of the first period with a 2-0 lead. Second period, Cirelli's denied on a rush. There's a blocker save on Trouba. The shots are 2 apiece, 6.5 minutes in. Gaudreau is denied on a fast break. We get a power play for Tampa. That becomes a 4-on-4. We then had a shorthanded rush by Mott. Everything gets killed off with those power plays. Tampa Bay presses with 6 minutes left. The fans call one. The referee does not. 3:09 left. The Bolts get a power play, and they score on it. It's Kucherov from Stamkos and Paul at 17:39, and it feels like maybe Tampa's getting back into it. The Rangers say no. So Wheeler with a lob pass out to center ice gets to Trocheck, who puts it over to Kreider on the 2-on-1 rush that Wheeler set up there with that pass. And at 18 minutes and 30 seconds, the Rangers have their 2-goal lead back. It's 3-1 after 2. Third period, the Rangers playing back and blocking. Really masterful game there by the Rangers at that point. Kucherov to point near miss. Shots are 3-0 Tampa Bay at 5.5 minutes. Tampa Bay would press at 9 minutes. Kucherov misses one high on a net drive. And then Panarin would score another. He scores from Trocheck, because that's who all the goals seem to be from tonight. 11:16 was the time of that one to make it 4-1. Paul nearly scores. It somehow stays out of the net. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. There's an early goalie pull. They end up having to put the goalie back in because they go to the penalty box. And during the power play that results there, Panarin scores again. That's the hat trick. Fox and Zibanejad with the assist at 15:25. He wires that one short side. The Rangers with a pretty dominant game over Tampa Bay tonight. They win 5-1. They go to 25-9-1 with the victory. Tampa Bay 17-15-5. So it's dominant on the score sheet, but the shots tell you a different story. 14-9 Tampa in the first, 13-5 Tampa in the second, 8-6 Tampa in the third. Final shots 35-20 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Rangers were 1 for 2 on the power play. Tampa Bay 1 for 3. The hits 26-18 for the Rangers. Shesterkin saved 34 out of 35. Vasilevsky saved 15 out of 20. That's an ugly stat line for Vasilevsky. All right, next up. Carolina and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it's Kochetkov versus Jones in 2 minutes and 24 seconds in. Bunting, remember him? He scores from Aho and Svechnikov. It was 5-hole from in close. It was only the second shot. So, of course, with Toronto's goaltending situation being kind of, shall we say, in process, you have to then worry, like, well, what if Jones has a bad game? He didn't. He would actually keep it together. Kane's pressed for another. Riley's denied on a fast break. We get a power play for Toronto. That's killed off. The shots are 5 apiece halfway through the period. Fans call one. The referee doesn't. Things get pushy on a hold by Jones. We end up with 4-on-4 out of that. Kochetkov gets shaken up. He overextended himself, it looked like he did, trying to bend over backwards to make a save. But he stays in the game. Domi then fires one wide in the final minute. So it's 1-0 Carolina after 1. Second period. Nylander to Bertuzzi, that gets blocked. The Canes press at 4 minutes. 6 minutes into the period, the shots are 4-2 Carolina. Very few really good chances for either team in the first half. Nyes then has a fast break. He loses the handle on that. Matthews has a shot that's saved. The rebound gets held. We get a power play for Toronto. That's killed off. Carolina then gets a power play, and they score on it. It's Jarvis from Svechnikov and Aho at 13:52. It's 2-0 for Carolina. The shots are 8 apiece with 4.5 minutes left. Aho gets denied and close. The Leafs rush. Nylander to Bertuzzi, near miss there. 49.4 seconds left. The Canes get a power play. So that rolls over into the third period. Really important the Leafs kill it, and they do. We get a press by the Canes after it ends. But at 4:16, Toronto does get themselves on the board. Liljegren scores from Domi and Järnkrok. He wires that one from the slot. So it's 2-1. And then the Leafs look to tie it, but they're not getting a lot of chances actually on the net. Shea to Kotkaniemi gets blocked. The shots are only 1 apiece, 6.5 minutes in. Matthews has a tip shot, that's held. Domi to Järnkrok, near miss there. We get a power play for Toronto. That's killed off. Bunting's denied as the Canes press. The Leafs press, but they end up taking a penalty in the offensive zone. That was killed off. They pull the goaltender down by a goal, but at 19:05, the empty netter is scored by Aho. At 19:51, Robertson ends up getting a goal. Initially, it was not called a goal, but the review showed the puck was actually in the net. Domi and Liljegren with the assists, so that makes it 3-2. They keep the goalie pulled. They're not going to score in 7 seconds, and they don't. Your final score is 3-2 for Carolina. They go to 20-13-4. It does feel like the worst's behind Carolina now. For Toronto, 17-10-7. This is a rough patch for Toronto right now. Shots on net, 11-9 Toronto in the first, 11-10 Carolina in the second, 8-6 Carolina in the third. They do outshoot Toronto 28-27. Power plays 2 for 4 for Carolina, 0 for 3 for Toronto. The hits 24-20 for the Maple Leafs. Kochetkov and Jones both saved 25 out of 27. So both goalies were solid in this one. And in the end, it's just that empty netter ends up being the difference. Oddly enough, I do get a kick out of it when that happens. Goalies end up with the same number of goals allowed and everything, and the empty netter actually ends up being the game winner, that being for Sebastian Aho. All right, next up, one of the easiest game winners you're going to get. All right, so Nashville and Washington, and then I'll have to pause after this because that game's not done yet. If I upload a review and not all the games are done, people aren't going to be happy. So it's Askarov versus Shepard. Bear making his debut at the Caps. And it was kind of nice, too, because Askarov and Shepard both relatively inexperienced goaltenders, right? Early jump for Nashville, and Evangelista goes around Sandin and buries it. Fabro and Novak with the assist at 2:44. Quickly, it's 1-0 for Nashville. Preds press for another. The shots are 8-3 Nashville 5 minutes in. They end up getting a power play, and they score on it. It's Yossi from Nyquist on O'Reilly at 6:55. Washington would press for response. Eventually, they get it, and it's Malenstein who scores from Dowd and Van Riemsdyk at 10:25. We get a power play for the Caps. Back-to-back clears. Nashville ends up killing that off. Parson into Yossi near miss. We had a fight between McCarron and Wilson. And a lot of punching at the horn, which led to a penalty for one guy on each team. So 4-on-4 to start the second period. Kuznetsov has a chance that's saved. Sissons has a one-timer that goes wide. The shots are 2-0 for Nashville, 2.5 minutes in. Pressed by Nashville, but they're kept to the outside. There was only one shot for Washington 7 minutes in, so we're back to games where Washington's not generating shots for long stretches. Shepherd keeping this game close. At that point, it was a Hunter Shepherd show. We get a power play for the Capitals. 3 seconds after it ends, Ovechkin scores. He gets the 7th of the season. That's number 829 in his career. Strome and Protas with the assists at 14:59. And it was only the second shot of the period for the Capitals as well. Nyquist then has a chance it's held. Malenstein's denied and close. The Predators press in the final minute. Then there's a blocker save on Trennan. But yeah, after the second period, it's 2-2. Third period. Yossi fires one high from the slot. Tomasino to McCarron, near miss there. Get a power play for Nashville. That's killed off. Shots are 8-4 for the Caps at 8 minutes. Protas has a net feed that's picked off. Parson fires one high from the slot. Ovechkin scores, but it's ruled goalie interference. My favorite part of that is they'd already taken the goal off the board, and the announcer says, but can't they challenge for a missed stoppage? Because there was a missed stoppage as well. And there was silence. And all I could think was, okay, they already got the goal taken off the board. You can't take it off the board twice. But it was, I got a kick out of that. But can't they challenge? It's fine. They already took it off the board. And again, it's during a delayed call, so with 59.5 seconds left, now the Capitals go to the power play. Preds do get it to overtime. They do not allow a power play goal, and in the overtime, Caps cycle, Ovechkin has a shot that's blocked. Nashville finishes the kill. Wilson has a stick break on a shot opportunity he had. Protas then had a shot that was blocked. Preds take over. There was a goal line stand on Forsberg. We're going to a shootout. In the shootout, Askarov stopped both Kuznetsov and Ovechkin, which is something I'm sure he's going to be telling his parents and random strangers and people on the bus, telling everybody. Nyquist and O'Reilly end up scoring for Nashville to get the win in the shootout 3-2. They go to 20-16-1 with the win. With the shootout loss, the Capitals 17-11-6. Shots on net 13-11 Nashville in the first, 13-4. 13-11, I should say, Washington in the first, 13-4 Nashville in the second, 10-9 Nashville in the third, 2-1 Washington in the overtime. Final shots 35-28 for the Nashville Predators. Power plays, Nashville 1 for 2, Washington 0 for 3. The hits 23-18 Nashville. Askarov saved 26 out of 28. He looked quite good. Shepherd looked very good as well. 33 saves on 35 shots. And again, I'll go ahead and throw this in here as well. I think Shepherd's a good goaltender. I hope he gets a chance at a regular NHL job next season. All right, now I have to pause, and we'll see how the third period turns out between the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers, a game that is somehow tied after 2. Okay, so that game's done. Skinner versus Talbot as we watch the Oilers versus the Kings, the only late game tonight in the NHL. Noah Vanderkane for the Edmonton Oilers. Dubois gets denied. Skinner holds on. The shots were 3-0 LA in at 3 minutes. In fact, it feels like LA used up all their A game in the first period. So the Kings press are kept to the outside. McDavid has a shot that's blocked. It's cleared out. We get a power play for the Kings. Kaliev has a one-timer that's held as that comes to an end. The shots are 5-0 LA halfway through the period. The Oilers' first shots by Nugent Hopkins with 7:56 left in that period. Kings go back to the power play. Danault to Dubois gets picked off, but they do get a power play goal. It's Fiala from Kempe and Doughty at 14:44. It's bar down from the slot for Fiala. Lewis is then denied by Skinner's glove. The Oilers' press are kept to the outside, and Kempe would score to make it 2-0 from Kopitar and Byfield at 18:49. And that's on a rush, and the Oilers had 2 shots. The Kings had 2 goals, and that was after the first period. So second period, early press by the Oilers, who clearly had some discussions between the first and second period because it was totally different. Power play for the Kings. Things get pushed in a hold by Skinner. That power play's killed off. 2 shots on the power play. More pushing on a hold by Skinner. We get a power play for the Oilers. There's a crossbar for McDavid, and then from a sharp angle, he scores. It's McDavid from Nugent Hopkins and Bouchard at 5:35. The Oilers press 7 minutes in. Momentum for the Oilers. Talbot pretty sharp at this point in the game, and he was the whole way through. Shots are 8-5 in favor of the Oilers with 7.5 minutes left. Lizotte gets denied and close. We get a power play for the Kings. Kempe exits briefly during that. So we end up with 1:17 of 4-on-4. Nurse has a shot that's held. And then during the 4-on-4, Draisaitl scores from McDavid at 15:29. So it goes to the Oilers' power play, becomes 43 seconds of 5-on-3. The Kings, solid kill. They do end up killing that off. Byfield fires one wide on a 2-on-1 rush. We have a 2-2 tie after 2. Third period. Dubois has a rush that's defended. Doughty had a one-timer that saved. Neither team getting much room, and it was pretty obvious early in the period. We were probably looking at overtime. Brown's robbed as the Oilers press. McDavid goes beast mode, but he hits the outside of the net. The shots are 5-1 Oilers, 9 minutes in. 8:43 left. The Oilers get a power play. That was killed off. One shot on that power play for the Oilers. Kopitar has a rush chance that's held. Byfield had a net drive that was held as well. Draisaitl's denied in the closing seconds. We're going to overtime. In the overtime, both teams kind of played back, skated around, waited to see if they get a shot. This is why they're talking about expanding overtime and trying to discourage shootouts. Because I've never really understood, like, you both got the point for the 60 minutes. Why aren't you just going for it? But they don't. So, Kings controlled early. Moore can't bury when the Oilers rush. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins saves a wraparound by Kopitar. We go to the shootout in round 4. Derek Ryan gets the winner. So the Oilers go in. They beat LA at home in a shootout, 3-2. They go to 17-15-1 with the win. With the shootout loss, a 28-5 record for the LA Kings. Shots on net, 11-2 LA in the first, 13-7 for Edmonton in the second, 10-7 Edmonton in the third, 2-1 LA in the overtime. Final shots, 27-26 for the Kings. Both teams go 1 for 4 on the power play. The hits, 23-16 for the Kings. Skinner saved 26 out of 28. Talbot saved 24 out of 26. I guess they must have given credit for another shot for the Kings, or the app's just wrong, because the app told me 26 saves on 28 shots. I wrote it down. We'll say 25 saves on 27 shots. The app's been wrong a lot tonight, so at the very least, I wasn't too overwhelmed to see it. But yeah, there were times where I was saying even strength goal in his power play and vice versa. But hey, you know, they'll work the kinks out eventually, right? All right, there you go. You guys are all caught up on tonight. Let me know your thoughts on these games in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.